Hi everyone, good afternoon. Trust we all are doing okay and happy Easter Eve. Yeah, happy Easter in advance. I'm glad that we are here today and then to continue on what we started some weeks ago, right? As you all know, we are a community, the Nigeria M365 community. We and others took it upon ourselves to give back to the society to from everything we have, from everything we've learned. So this is a community trying to impact knowledge, knowledge into the society um, for free actually. So and then we started this journey a couple of weeks ago, and then it's been interesting, like really interesting. We have good speakers, we have great speakers, we have great trainers that have trained both home and abroad with international companies, and yeah, we have a lot of great people with us here. And then last week, we continued from where we started on the hybrid and identity series, where Solomon actually has done justice. I would come back to that, but I would say welcome again to today's session, and it promises to be great as usual. Yeah, we are here to give you everything you need. We we are here to pour out everything to the minutest detail of everything we know, right, around Microsoft 365. Please stay tuned. Take up your jotting pens, your jotters, pen down every detail you get to hear. But our advice, just listen, try to understand whatever is being done. And yes, it's an interactive session, you would say, right? But um, from these interactions, questions, answers, and other things that will be done today, you get to learn or hear some things that were not said, right? So you're all welcome once again. So today, right, I'm so excited, right? Um, I'm so excited that it's Friday, it's another weekend, it's another session, right? And we have a special announcement. I would like you guys to maybe give a reaction, right? Like clapping your hands, jubilating, like you get right. So today we have a special announcement for us. It's special because it's something that has long been overdue, right? It's been coming, it's been on the way for a very long time, and yeah, I'm happy to be the one to announce it to the community, to everyone today. Right. So let me just open the bag so I could see. All right. So this is the special announcement, right? One of the special announcements. Congratulations to our new MVP, right? Solomon. You guys know him. He has been training us for some time now. And you guys know that this guy is well loaded, like well loaded. So um I think after the session last week, Microsoft reached out to our guy, our man, our mentor, our trainer, that he is now a Microsoft MVP. Right? Congratulations, Solomon Jeremiah. Basically, Microsoft most valuable professional or professionals are technological or technology expert. Basically, they are well versed in different technologies around Microsoft 365, around Microsoft itself. They have passion, right? They have passion to share knowledge, and this is what the Microsoft 365 Nigeria community is built on, right? Because of the passion most of us have, that's why we decided to come and then give this out for no amount, right? And then basically the MVPs are always on the bleeding edge and have an unstoppable urge to get their hands on new exciting technologies. These guys are always like They are eager to get their hands dirty on new technologies across Microsoft, whether from Windows, whether from normal traditional Windows or the Windows 365, or from traditional Office suites to Microsoft 365, traditional security, MCSA now to everything around Entra to CN to security in Azure Active Directory to endpoint managers and the like. So yeah, these guys are always eager to get their hands dirty. And as you can see, right, even from our mommy, Olajumoke, right, MJ, you would see that she's well versed. She's always eager to get her hands dirty, and you can also see that from um, from Solomon Jeremiah, and then from others, right, the other leaders like myself, right? Let me hack myself a little bit. And then from DG, from Yore, from Adekunle, from Dami, everybody from Emmanuel Itoje, right? So that's that. And they have a deep knowledge. You would bear me witness that all the sessions we've had, the guys that have taken these trainings, right? They have deep knowledge. Even those that are moderating, you will know that they have deep knowledge, because for it to be a leader in this community, it's not just by um, mere say or just want to be there, right? It's based on your proven track records and the like. So MVPs comprises of global community of over 4,000 technical experts, over 4,000, and these numbers are growing every day. And not just in Nigeria, it's across 90 countries in the world. It's global. That's why I said Microsoft most valuable professional. It's not that we're Microsoft MVP in Nigeria or in Lagos. No, MVP, Microsoft MVP, whether in Nigeria, whether in US, whether in Richmond, in Redmond, where MS headquarters is, or anywhere, you are a Microsoft MVP. And above all, in addition to the amazing technical abilities and skills, MVPs are always willing to help others. Yeah, right. We can see it in the community leaders and even in Solomon Jeremiah's session. So we are happy, we are rejoicing, we are elated, we are excited that our very own, right, Solomon Jeremiah has been awarded the most valuable professional in Azure award category. So we have MJ in the Power Apps, and then we have Solomon Jeremiah in the Azure category. So who is next? Is it me? Is it Deji? Is it Emmanuel? Is it Yore? Is it Dami? Is it Adekule? Stay tuned, right? More good news, more special announcements are on the way. So many congratulations and cheers to more wins. Thank you. Thank you. We're happy. Solomon Jeremiah, congratulations once again. Right? Thank you for everything you are doing and what you've done and what you're still doing. Okay, so another special announcement is to quickly um, re-intimate us with the community leaders again, right? Just so you know, everyone has committed to this great community, and then you know how to reach out, you know who to reach out to for certain things, and then yes, you can reach out to anybody, and then you'll be directed accordingly. However, just to get you guys abreast with the community leaders and their roles, basically. So we have MJ Olajumoke Toriola. She's a community leader and founder, right? Basically, you already know as a founder, her responsibilities are enormous all around. So um, basically, she needs to have leadership oversight over the team, its activities, and then she's behind a blueprint for the program, and then she also performed success evaluation, just like our like most of us are working what they call performance review, right? So she's in charge of that. We also have Emmanuel Itoje, the lead program coordinator, oversees, right? He oversees the planning and the coordination of all programs. All the programs we are having, all the sessions we have from now till whenever it is, he oversees them and he coordinates all those programs. That is one Itoje, and he works to keep the program on schedule, right? And monitors the implementation. So he oversees the coordination, he oversees the planning, and then he also ensures that these programs are implemented on schedules, right? So we also have Jeremiah Solomon. Solomon Jeremiah is a training coordinator. You can see that from his sessions, right? The guy is top notch. Works closely with the program coordinator, that's Emmanuel Itoje, and then in planning, yeah, and then coordinates all training activities. Yeah, and then evaluate the feedbacks from participants, all the feedbacks we have from you guys after each sessions, right? Solomon evaluates that. So if you have not been given feedbacks on our sessions, it is expected that you give feedbacks on each sessions, like our pages on YouTube, subscribe to our YouTube channel, like our pages on Twitter, LinkedIn, every platform, right? Please do that. And then he provides advice on how to improve our training effectiveness. So based on the feedbacks you guys give to us, right? He looks into the data. He's a data scientist actually. So he looks into the data, and then based on trends and patterns, he gives advice on how to improve on this training session. So Damilola Aremu, she's a volunteer coordinator. Basically, her role, her JD is to recruit new volunteers, right? So if you are here and you think you you are now your feathers are strong in this M365, right? So you need to reach out to Damilola Aremu, and then she would go through the process to screening, to interviewing, and then the process of recruiting you into the community, right? And then Joshua Adigun is the mentor program coordinator, right? Basically, what he does is manage mentor-mentee matching, right? So we have mentors here in the community. We have leaders. So what Joshua does is to manage the mentors, or to match, kind of matchmaking the mentors and mentees. So most of the people on these sessions, or on all these sessions, are mentees. So what Joshua needs to do, or is doing, is to match the mentors and the mentees together for one-on-one sessions, or one-on-one basically sessions to answer questions, to further groom the mentees to become not just any kind of technical um, um, professional, but to be well versed, right, in this technology. So we also have Adekunle Sharumi is the communications and media coordinator. Basically, what he does is to assist in raising profiles of the community, promote our events, all these events we're having, all the flyers, everything, the schedule. He's the one in charge of promoting the profile, and then promoting all these events on all the social media platforms. And then he moderates discussions, and then responds to inquiries from mentees, right? So he also publicizes the community activities to the entire world. That's why um, um, I would say, if you're not aware, Microsoft is aware of what we are doing. Other persons, big guys, the top guns in the society are also aware. So, yeah, as we've advised before, put in your A game, bring your A game, and then put in your best, right? You don't know who is watching. So we also have Yonre Owaha. She's the website manager. She's responsible for supporting the community online platforms, right? And then she's also responsible for developing and managing the community website. So we have a website, it's coming up. So she's in charge of all that. And then she's also in charge of channeling, on the website we have contact us page. So she's in charge of channeling those inquiries from the website to the right channels, to the right individuals. So we also have DG. Deji Omitola is a community career advisor. Basically, what he does is to guide community members who seek guidance on career aspirations, on career path, and then the needed experience to attain their career. So I think, if we remember, in one of the sessions, he took us through the certification part, and then he advised us on what to do and how to go about writing certifications. Yeah, so that's those are the community leaders. And then these guys are the ones that put together this event for us. So I'd like us to kind of celebrate them with reactions, right? Thank you guys. Thank you very much. So here they are. They are fine, fine faces, handsome faces, right? Damilola Remu, from left to right, from top, yeah, top, top right is Damilola Aremu. The next is Solomon Jeremiah. The next is Yore. And the next is MJ. And then we have Emmanuel Itoje. We have the Jimitola. We have Joshua Adigun. We have Adekunle Saromi. So these are the community leadership team. And they are good looking, right? Because they've done their due diligence in the community and in the Microsoft technology. So it's time for them to look good. Yeah. So today, my name is Joshua Adigun. I'm the moderator for today's session, right? As you all know, Microsoft certified trainer. I'm good at a lot of things and can count on me. I'm dependable and very good at managing multiple priorities and with a good positive attitude. Thank you guys. And then um, our speaker for today is Jeremiah, our own very latest MVP in town, right? As you all know him, um, he's he's a big boy in Azure, an expert in Teams and enterprise administration. He's also a Microsoft certified trainer um, who has wealth of experience around IT, right? So he's experienced in a lot of things around IT, in in managing cutting edge technologies, basically from initiation to implementation to handoff to sign up to everything. The guy is good, and he also has good good customer service skill to customer service management to whatever around customer service. The guy is very good at that. Thank you for your time, Solomon Jeremiah, and we are happy to have you here again today. So also we have MJ Toriola, that's Olajumoke Toriola MJ. She's also Microsoft certified trainer, MVP with Power Apps category. She's also a CTO of Hashem, right? Hashem Limited, an IT company. She has over 18 years experience, right? Not just stagnant experience, but progressive experience, work experience around IT as a whole. And if you can bear me witness, last week she took us even in other sessions, right? She took us through the rudiment of hybrid environment, hybrid system, right? And then she also talked about which actually Solomon Jeremiah practicalized, but she took us through the theory part where she talked about types of authentication. I think you guys should remember, but I know there are two. We have the managed authentication and then the federated authentication. And then under managed, we have the password hash, password true, right? She took us through those theoretical part. We saw how authentications are being done in each of those sessions, right? And then we saw the diagram, how they go from one point to another. And then Solomon Jeremiah practicalized it for us. Yeah. So thank you, MJ, for everything you're doing. So today we would continue the interactive session, the hybrid identity and directory synchronization for Microsoft 365. Thank you guys for listening to me for this little time. And then at this point, I would hand over to the speaker to speak. But before that, right, I would like to just intimate us again, in case we've forgotten, on the housekeeping rules. Please, and we are aware that this session is being recorded. Also, mute your mics if you are not speaking, or if you are not being spoken to, or if you are not told to speak. Please, let's ensure our mics are muted. Also, would appreciate that you pen down your questions until it is Q&A sessions. We don't unmute your mic to interrupt the sessions, right? Pen down your questions, and then when it is the Q&A session, right, you raise up your hand and then you are called upon to ask your questions. Follow us on Twitter at NGM365. Subscribe to our YouTube channel, and then we also value your feedback. Please and please, if you know you want us, if we are not improving in some areas, or you think you have good ideas for us to go beyond what we are doing now, please, your feedbacks are well appreciated, right? So thank you guys for having me. So over to you, Jeremiah Solomon. Okay.
Hello, everyone. Thank you so much for the congratulations message, the warm welcome. I really appreciate all of you. And also, I want to thank you all for making it today to this training, because I know today is probably holiday for most people and they are here. So today, what I would just do, I would share my screen, and when I share my screen, I will just try to do a very quick run through about what we learned from MJ. I'm not going to present that, but I just have a very short slide. I'll just go through it, and then we would move to the main topic, or the main demo for today, right? So I already have my server set up, right? But before I start doing anything with the server, somebody said something. Did I just saw my name in the chat or something?
They want to see your handsome face.
It's fine. It's fine. You can see my face. My face is here. So there's no. It's just that the avatar is new for Microsoft, and yeah, let me test it. So that's just this. So for today, right, I would just hit this slide. It should pop up now. Yeah. Oh, wrong screen, always. Let me go back and edit. I selected the right screen. Okay, let me hit this again. Okay, I don't know if my system does not know which screen is which. Okay, so yeah, eventually the screen is up. So we spoke about hybrid identity, and yeah, we got, like, MJ gave us a very good breakdown of what hybrid identity is. We know about organization now. They are moving on-prem users to the cloud applications, and they are creating hybrid identity so that users on the cloud can use the same identity they have on their on-prem to access resources in the cloud. We also know there's something else. We also have what we call interdirectory provisioning. So what that simply means is we have different directory, and we're trying to see how we can, connect these two directories together, right? And remembering about the training, I spoke about the Active Directory, the Azure Active Directory, the Azure Active Directory domain services, right? Now, when we are trying to have this interdirectory provisioning, we can use one tool, which is Azure AD Connect, which is something I will be using today. There are other tools to use. You can see we have Azure AD Connect Cloud provisioning. You can as well use that, but today we'll be focusing on the Azure AD Connect tool. So I would sorry. So the authentication method, MJ did justice to all of this, but just so you remember, she spoke about password hash, where the password, the users and their password are synced to the cloud when you set up your AD Connect tool. So what this simply means is they log in to the cloud and authentication will take place in the cloud. That's for this. Then we have the pass-through authentication. What this does is when the users are synced to the cloud and they're trying to authenticate, there is an agent, a pass-through agent that handles the authentication, and this agent is on your on-prem environment. We also have the federation, that's ADFS. Now, for you, if you hear anything federation, just federation, what you should just know is federation is trust relationship. That's the basic thing you should put in your brain. And also, when we are talking about federation, if we are trying to set up authentication for our users, we have to have different proxy servers, right, that will handle this authentication, and this authentication will be happening on-prem. Now, the users, they'll log into the cloud, right, but when they want to authenticate, it goes to the on-prem proxy servers, and then the authentication will be verified and it will take place. So how the password is being synced to cloud and the authentication process, MJ explained it in detail. And if you want to probably get the full info or the full description, is on the YouTube channel. The video is available. So today we are going to be talking about the AD Connect tool, right? From the slide here, AD Connect tool is an on-premises Microsoft application that is designed to meet and accomplish your hybrid identity goal. So it is an application that we are going to install on our on-premises. And this application, we are going to set it up today. When we set up this application, what it will do for us, it would help us achieve what we are trying to achieve now. So if I go next, these are the prerequisites. MJ covered the prerequisites last week. So these are the prerequisites. So most of these prerequisites, we may not go in detail, right? Because this is just a demo. But if you're working in an organization, the best practice is to follow these prerequisites, right? The ID fix to check if they are duplicates, check your functional level, check the Windows server you want to install it on, the schema version number, all of those stuff. So you just need to go through them when you're setting them up in an enterprise environment. So we might not have time to go through all the prerequisites when we're setting this up. So now, today, this is one of the main explanation that I think you should take away from this training, right? And this is what you should understand. Now, what you're going to see me doing, you're going to see me installing a software, right? But that software I'm installing, don't just look at it like a software. It is an engine, right? The sync engine, right? And what exactly is happening in that sync engine, that's what is represented on my screen. So if you can understand what is happening here, I would still go and show you this whole stuff, how it looks like when we are done installing it. But when you look at this now, this is the AD Connect architecture. This is the synchronization engine, how it looks like. And when you're looking at it, at the left here, we have the Active Directory, which we've been talking about, the on-premises Active Directory. And on the right here, we have the Azure Active Directory. Now, this Azure Active Directory is the one that is handling our users in the cloud, right? The one that our users are being stored in, right? Now, there's a sync engine we are trying to install now. What exactly is this sync engine doing between these two directories? What is happening? So when you look at this sync engine, what is actually happening? There are three commands that is actually happening, like three major commands that is happening when we talk about the AD Connect. Now, the first command that is running is the import. The second is the sync, and the third is the export. Now, this import can come in two different ways, which I will try to talk about later when we start installing it. We have the initial and the delta. So I will explain all of that when we get further. Now, when you look at this engine here that is sitting on our server, right? When the first command import is triggered, or we run the first command import, so you don't need to run it, it will run automatically, but you can force it. So when this first command is triggered or it is run, what will happen is, if we have a user here, let me see if I can I get the pen? Let me see, does this pen? Yeah, okay, I think I got the pen. So if we have user here, right, this is going to be looking dirty, but it's fine. Do I need to put 3? Okay, it's fine. So if we have these 3 users now, and this import is triggered, what is going to happen is, before I even start talking about that, the database itself, that's the engine itself, it is divided into 3. So we have the connector space, we have the metaverse, and another connector space. This connector space is the one that is for the Active Directory, while this other one is for the Azure Active Directory. So once this import is run, these users, they will all move to this connector space, right? And if the next import is being run, what will happen is, anything we have that's syncing from here, remember, most things we are syncing, they are going to cloud. We don't sync users back. So, but when we are talking about password write back, the password write back will be syncing password from cloud back. So if at all there is a password write back, at the point where we have this import triggered for the Azure Active Directory, the password will move to this connector space, right? And once we now have the sync, once the sync happens, these users, they are still here. It's just like copy and paste. It's not like we are moving them. They are just, we're having a replica of these users in the connector space. And once the next command, which is the sync, runs, these users, they are moved to the metaverse, right? And once the last command, export, is run on this sync engine, then these users, they are all moved to the Azure Active Directory. So that's exactly what usually happens when we install the engine. This is the process of how this engine is working. So for the sync, right, this password is also going to move here to this metaverse. And by the time we have the exports, the password is going to sync back to the on-prem environment. Now, what you should see right here is, why I'm showing you this is, it might just look like a conversation now, but when you're troubleshooting an issue that is related to sync, right, you can easily know where to go and check if maybe there is an error. And with that, you can know how to troubleshoot stuff. You can know how to say, okay, let's see if this stuff got to the connector space. Is this stuff in the metaverse? Did this change happen in the metaverse, which I will show you? So when you understand all of this and know how this engine works, then you would know how to troubleshoot issues. Now that we've seen how the engines look like, right? The next thing I have here is just basically what is happening when we are installing this particular AD Connect tool. So when we are installing these AD Connect tools, the accounts that will be created, we have the ADDS connector account. This account is created when you use Express install. When I'm installing it, I'll show you the Express and custom install. Custom install will give me the opportunity to adjust how I want my settings to look like, right? But if I'm using Express, I will just pick default, or pick what I like and I'm done. So when I'm using Express, I get this msol account, msol underscore with characters that is created for this ADDS account connector. We have that. That account is used for synchronization, and it is created by the AD Connect tool when we are installing it. Then we also have AD Sync service account, right? So this AD Sync service account, when we are installing the connector, we have the service account. It has the virtual service account. We also have the managed account and the user. So the virtual service account, basically, you don't have the password, right? It is just created. And the managed account, right? If you're not the virtual service account, most times, if you're using the same database, right, on the same on-prem server. Now, why I'm saying database is if I'm installing this tool to my Active Directory and I have objects that are more than 10 gig, I would not just use the database that is installed with this tool, because this tool will install a database for me, and that database is just 10 gig. But if I have objects that are more than 10 gig, then I would have to set up my own database. And when I am trying to install this tool, I will definitely use custom, then provide my account for my database that is going to be managing the sync process, right? But if I'm not doing that, right, and I'm just using both the same server, and everything is just going to be handling the database and the sync, right? The virtual service account will be there to run for me. We have the managed account, and there's also a user account. Now, this user account, I can choose to create it, while Microsoft can also help me do the creation of this this user account. Then the last account we have here is the Azure AD Connector account. So this Azure AD Connector account is an account that will be created in your cloud, how will I put it, Microsoft Admin Center, right? Where you have active users. You will see in your Active Directory, you will see this account created there, and this account would have sync, and it would show you the name of the server that this sync is actually coming from. You're going to see the exact name of the server where this sync is originating from. And this particular account also has a particular role that is assigned to it, which is the sync role that helps to manage the users that are being synced from on-prem to the cloud. So now these are like the basic accounts you would see come up on your different accounts, probably on your cloud and your on-prem. You will just see those accounts. You should just have an idea that they are coming from this engine, although there are some other groups that will be created, which we will see. So now that I've explained this, so I don't waste time, I would just end this, right? And we'll just go straight into what we have for today. So we already know how to set up our Active Directory from the previous time when we were doing the local machine. We go to add roles and features, and then we select our Active Directory, and then we promote it by adding a forest, right? So what you can also do, just like a side read, just read about forest, domain, trees. So you would just hear domain, trees, collection of domains, forest, collection of trees. Just go and do like your basic research about them, so that you can just have like basic knowledge about the Active Directory. And also, we also heard about schema, right? So why I'm also saying this is because most times when I'm trying to talk to people, I don't want stuff to look like magic to them. So where schema is coming out from is what they call FISMO roles. So when we're talking of FISMO roles, let's just see it that we have what we call multiple master and single master models, right? For the multiple master, the Active Directory that has the big database, is controlling every object, is the multiple master, right? But now, when the Active Directory is handling all these activities, there can be conflicts, right, with replications and all of that. So the FISMO role is there to manage all these conflicts and replications that may come out when we're using just the multiple master, right? So what the FISMO role does for us, right? It is divided into forest and domain. So when you look at it, we have the schema, we have the domain naming. The schema is handling when we are editing user telephone numbers, all those details about users that we are editing. It is the schema that is handling that part. Then when we are changing domain name, the domain naming is another or one of the FISMO role. It is responsible for, okay, this domain name is here, we cannot add it again, right? We have the domain name. We also have the read. So what the read does is assigning security ID identifier to every object that is created. So if you create any object in your Active Directory, there's a seed that is being assigned to it. It's just like you going to create an account in a database that has like maybe a foreign serial number that is like the foreign key. So no two people can have that particular number. So even if you delete an object and create the same object, it cannot have the same seed, right? So the read is managing that. Then we have the PDC emulator, right? The name is just, so what that one does, it manages password and other stuffs. Then we have the infrastructure. The infrastructure is helping us with the read and the PDC. So what you can do, just go and read those stuff to FISMO roles. It's like a good read. So you just understand what's happening in the Active Directory so that when you hear schema, it doesn't really cause any much complication. So now what I want to do, I will just download the AD Connect tool. So I will come here and so let me just cancel this now because this is not what you should be doing in a working environment, but I just want to turn off this so I don't have issues when trying to download. So yeah, so I've turned off this. I want to download. So I'm downloading the AD. So if I come here, it should be the first website that should be at the top. Let me open this so that, yeah, so my whole screen is. So I would get the AD tool. I'll just download this now. So once I download this AD tool, right, I would also open, yeah, so this is, I'm just going to, let me save this and then I'll run it. So if I come to, I should have my, so this is the tenant that I want to connect. I want to connect this server, this on-prem Active Directory tool. So if we look at this tenant now, we will just see the users. When we see the users, we can see, let me add column, sync status. So we can see this if I hover over this in cloud. So you can see all these users, they're in cloud. If we come to health, we can't see anything about AD Connect. I will go to Azure Active Directory, which is Entra. Let's just see what we have there before we start. So when we come to Entra, there should be AD Connect. Okay, so you can see not available. And if I click go to AD Connect, nothing is here, right? So this is for the account. And now I've downloaded the AD Connect. So I will just click on run. Yeah, so my functional level for my domain is already up to the requirements. So I said the requirements, we might not really go into details, right? So if I do this, I think I should be able to see my functional level. So it meets with the requirements and schema version. This should be somewhere 80. Yeah. Let me see. I think I can as well see it from here. Let me come. So it should be somewhere around here. So I'm not fast. Can V work? So I don't want to waste time, but I know it should be somewhere here. If you see it, okay, so this should be the version, yeah. I think I passed it. So this should be the version for this schema. So let me just cancel all of this, right? But you can just, when you want to do this in an enterprise environment, you can just take your time to go through that. So I think I already meet the requirements and I don't really have a lot of objects here. So there's no need for me to run the ID fix. So I'll click on agree here. And once I click on agree, I'll just click on continue. So when I click on continue, you can see now we have custom and express. So we have these two, right? What can we do now? We can choose to install with custom or we can use express. So let me go through express because I can come back and then go to customize. Let's just see what express looks like. So if I go next to express, it would, yeah. So now it's asking me for the global admin account of this tenant I just showed you. So the global admin account, let me just get I don't really have the password, so I'll just, and the name is long, so I would use this. So I would paste this here. So this should be going, while this is going on, let me just see if I can also be creating users. So I can say, okay, what I should do. So I would just say, no, not good for you. So let me use this like this. So then I can come in here and so I'm just creating an OU like we did before, and I can just click on new user. So I will just use Adigun, and the last name is so once I use this, I can now say AA will be the account, right? And then I'll just say next. Let me create a password. Let me just tick this. And let me just type a password because I will need to log in with this user on cloud. So I need to type a password that I'll remember. So I'm going to type the password for this user. So yes, this user should be done. And I can come here also, and I want to create one other user, right? This user I'm creating is because of, this is as a result of the user would use for custom when I'm asked to sign in with a user that will manage the sync when I'm creating custom. So this is the user I will explain when I get there. So let me just name this as sync user. Yeah, so I would also use, let me just use this. Something I would remember. So I'll tell you why I'm creating this other user that I'm creating now. So normally they'll say from the installation, this user needs an admin right, but this user just needs the permission to read. So it can still do the work for me. So I will leave this user here. So now it's asking me to sign in with the enterprise administrator. That's the account I use to sign in to this particular server that I have here. So what I will do, you can see the way I should type this. That's the domain and my username. So I can just type this as, I can also use the net BIOS, which is for this account. So I can just say ABC of cloud.cloud, and then I'll use administrator. Then I'll hit my password. So once I hit this password, I will click on next. Let's see what's going to happen. So now, if I go next, right, you can see what it is already selecting for me. Start synchronization process when configuration is completed, and it will also give me options to select whether I want password hashing and all of that as I'm going for that, right? And you will see it did not even ask me too much of information, just me logging in, and when I keep going, I will just sync my users. I can choose to say I don't want to sync the users immediately I install the AD Connect tool. So, but I don't want to use this and I don't want to just keep going. So this is what I want to use, right? The customization. So if I click on custom, right? Not customization. If I click on the custom, you would see the options we have here. We can choose what we want when we're installing this agent, right? Or this tool. We can say specify a custom installation location. This is we saying, okay, we don't want you to install in program files. We are choosing a new location for you. We can use an existing SQL server. So you remember when I spoke about you needing to have sync objects that are more than the normal 10 gig that you would have. So you're now creating your own server and you want to connect it to the tool, right? So you can as well use your own service account, right? So if you're using the SQL, you can just use the service account for that particular SQL server. If you want to use your own SQL server, then you can also specify some custom groups. So if we look at this particular stuff here, if you look closely at this place, let me open it so we can see what we have here. We can see once you have two icons of two users, kind of, right? What this simply means, it just means this is a group, but if you're seeing a single person, it simply means that person is a user, right? So when we are installing this tool, it will create groups for us here, and the groups it will be creating will be administrator groups, operation groups, browser groups, password reset group. We can choose to specify the groups ourselves instead of the agent creating it for us. Then we can import synchronization settings. That means if we have a settings from a previous AD Connect tool that we use for syncing, we can get the settings from, that should be probably a JSON file. You can get it from the previous AD Connect tool or the other one that I set up and then import it here. Once you import it into this custom installation, we don't need to configure a lot of stuff. It will just get the settings from the previous one. So I'm going to allow it to install the SQL, everything that it needs to install. So I will just go, you can see it's now going to be installing everything. So if we look here, we'll probably just see stuff coming in here. So let's wait for this to be done. And yeah, so this should be taking us to the next place now. While this is just running, let me just create another user here. So this other user here will be, oh, not that. And the next user will be, so this is going to be EA. So let me still use just the same password for all of them. So I will explain why I'm doing this. So now I would create this user. So at this point now, you would now appreciate what MJ was doing for us last week. Because when you get to this point now, you will be like, okay, I was able to understand exactly where MJ was driving to. So now looking at this place, we know that, okay, do we want our password to sync to cloud? Do we want to use the pass-through agent? Do we want to use the federation, create proxy server? This is also going to be federation with single sign-on. Do we want to also use like a third-party authentication? We just want to set up something else. We don't want to use any of this, right? We can choose that at this point. Do we want to enable single sign-on so that if we create an account for these users. Now, these users I have on-prem, if I map a computer to this, my server, they can sign in with the account I just created for them, right? Do we want a situation where if they sign in and they open their browser, we'll configure single sign-on so that immediately they just sign in, they can just log into their cloud resources without having to type their password again and their username? Do we want that? We can choose to select single sign-on and we'll just go next. Now, when we get here, we have global administrator. So this is the account. Let me just copy the password again and paste it. So I'll paste the password. Now this global admin password is the password for my tenant I showed you, the ABC of cloud. That's the global admin account I'm using. So if you're not a global admin, you'll have issues installing this. So now we should be going to the next place. And I have my I have this OU. So now this is the directory, right? Looking at this, this is the directory I actually want to install this on. So I'll just click on add directory. So at this point, when I want to add directory, I need the account, right? So if you look at it, an AD account with sufficient permission is required for periodic synchronization. So I need the account that will manage this, right? I can choose to create a new one, but remember I created the sync user. So I want to use the sync user for this account instead of creating a new one. Now, what the permission that is needed for this particular account is just the permission to read. So I didn't really give that user admin account, but it is advisable you just give the user the admin account just in case any other extra stuff wants to happen. So what I would do now is I'm going to type the account, which is I'll say cloud, no, ABC of cloud, ABC of cloud. I don't really need to put .com or .cloud. I can just put this my net bios and then I will use sync. I hope I use sync for that user just to be sure. I think I did. Let me leave it. No, sorry. Instead of, okay, sync user. So it was better I checked it than coming back after an error. So let me just do this and paste this. So this is the user I created, and then I would type the password. So now this is the sync user. Now you can see I've added this directory. So I could as well add directories if I want to when setting up this. So, but this is the only directory I have. So I'll click on next and let's see what's happening. So now, yeah, so you can see that it can see that this domain is a verified domain in Azure AD. So if you're probably using the .local, you will see that it will show that this is not verified and it will be giving you option to match UPN, right, that are not verified. So once you select the option, it will allow you to go next. But when those users sync to cloud without you doing the match here on-prem, they will just have on Microsoft accounts added to their username when they get to cloud. But for this, I wouldn't be having that issue. And now it's asking me for on-premises attributes to use as the AD name. I'm using the user principal name, the UPN. You can choose to select what you want. So I will select this and then I'll go next. So now at this point, right, I personally left this open by this side so that you would actually see what is happening. So when I get here, it's telling me it's going to sync all the domains and OUs, right? What if I don't want to sync all the domains and OU? I can decide to select what I want to sync. Now, if you look at this, you will see that it's almost the same thing that we are seeing here. You can see the M365 group. So I can choose to say, I only want to sync people in my M365 group. I don't want any other person to be synced. These are the guys I want to be synced, right? So what is going to happen is the only people that will be synced will be the people in this OU. You can always come back to change it. So I'm just showing you that you can use this method. I can choose to go back and sync everything. So if I go next, now I can choose how I want to identify my users. Normally, I would always use the let Azure manage the source anchor, right? And users are represented only once across all directories. Yeah, so this is the default, but there are other options. We have different options. Most times, if you're also setting your Exchange server, you're trying to create hybrid, you will have to work with some of these other options. So I would go with the default, and then I'll go next. So for here right now, you can see sync all users and devices. Synchronize selected device. Somebody will be asking, we just selected the M365 OU. Which other selected device are we talking about? So in this situation, right, I know I selected this particular OU, right? From this OU, I can choose to still select if I just want to sync a group, right? If I had created a group now inside these users, right? A particular group, like I showed you different icon, I can choose to just select the group here and click on resolve. Then I'll be syncing just that group from the particular OU I selected. So I will choose to sync all users and device, right? So sometimes I might say, okay, I don't want to sync people in this particular group, just this group I want to sync. You can still go down, right? So I would leave it like this, and then I'll click next. And yeah, so I selected password hash synchronization. Password right back is something that if we probably have the opportunity to talk about self-service password reset and all of that, we'll see this working because we can set up self-service password reset. That means a user can reset their own password, right? And if we set that up for a user to reset their own password, what it simply means is if that user is in cloud trying to access cloud resources, that user would definitely want to reset his password on cloud. And the idea of what we have now is syncing the password from on-prem to the cloud. So what is going to happen? If you reset your password, the one coming from on-prem will always overwrite it. It's not going to work, right? You reset it, it's syncing a fresh password after 2 minutes. So I will still explain the sync time. So what the password write back will just do is, okay, send this password back once this person resets the password from the cloud, send it back to the on-prem directory. So we have different stuff we can pick here and select if you're setting your Exchange mail, your Exchange server and all of that. But this is just what we will be sticking with today. And then I'll go next and let's see what this have. Okay. I hope my screen did not just, okay. So it has moved. I was thinking it has freezed. So now we have enter a domain administrator account to configure your on-premises forest for use of single sign-on. So I will just enter my admin account for this server, right? So this administrator, if you see me typing it in caps lock, it's not case sensitive. I can type it like this and I'll still log in, right? So I know it's not case sensitive. That's why I just leave it, because the password I'm using is actually in caps. So if I click OK, yeah, so this has been accepted, and then I'll click next. So now it is asking me start synchronization process when configuration is completed. And the second option is enable staging mode. When selected, synchronization will, when selected, synchronization will not export any data to AD or Azure AD. So what is staging mode? Staging mode is just simply, we have this engine that is syncing, right? We can choose to say, oh, you can be in staging mode, right? What you're going to be doing in staging mode, carry out every activities that is happening, but nothing is moving out. So the users, they are moving, but they are not syncing out of the engine. They are actually being moved to the metaverse. Everything is just there, but you don't get it reflected on cloud. While people use staging servers, right, or staging engine is if something is happening to your engine that is actually syncing, or generally the word staging, if you have anything that is live going on and something happened to your production or live environment, you can just switch to the staging server, because the staging server is actually running those processes. It's just that it's not sending them live. So that's what the staging mode means here. So we are not using staging mode. I want everything to go straight. So I'll click on install. So now at this point, synchronization will be taking place. The users that we need, they will be coming up. We'll be seeing the admin accounts coming, admin group coming up. We would also see some services that we need to always check, right? If we're trying to resolve any issue. Also, I'm trying to just see how to bring that. So if I come here now, I should be able to start seeing the AD Connect. I should also start seeing the sync accounts with that server name. So I know my server, the naming is very bad because it's the default name. So normally you're not supposed to leave your server. Yeah, I think, okay, this guy is already here. So you can see this guy. Now look at this name here. If I click on this name, you can see this name. This is definitely my server name. And this is a bad naming, right? So if I come here and let's just go to my server manager. Yeah, you can see the name. So this is my computer name. So I can see that the sync is actually coming from here. That account has been created there. Stuffs are still going on in the background. And if I refresh here, let's see what's coming up here. No refresh option. So one thing I would have shown you is if I come here, I think I would have done this earlier, but it's still fine. When I select the advanced option, there's this folder, lost and found OU. You saw where I was going to select the OUs that I wanted to sync, right? This folder by default is not always selected because most times in some organization, you just remove users that you want to delete. Instead of deleting them, you just move them here. And the fact that this OU is not syncing, it will delete them from cloud once any sync is running. And also, you should also enable recycle bin. So you will just go to administrative center. Yep. So let me come here. There should be recycle bin somewhere here. Okay, this is it. So you just enable recycle bin so that you can always go and get your users that are deleted also. It's always good you enable this. So I didn't enable that. So most of this stuff too, yeah, once it's training, you can't see everything. You say the key stuff, and anybody that really wants to learn would just try to do their own basic research and try some stuff. So if you try this stuff, read about it, you will be seeing maybe in the documentation, they say, oh, enable recycle bin, check use ID fix. So you can just test all of those stuff. Now I would come back here. Yeah, so this is completed. Now we have this completed. Let's see if we have any user here at this moment. So I will just refresh this page. And let's see. Yeah, you can see this. This is from on-prem, but I'm not seeing any user. I would probably just go and do that, but they will soon be coming in soon. If we come to home now, we should, okay, it's not showing there. There's something I just want to do, right? Just to help I want to cancel everything. Sorry. So I'm just trying to flush my DNS so that if it is holding any cache, right, on my system, yeah, everything will be released. And okay, I will still go and force the sync, but they should come in soon. Let me go to the health and see. We're not seeing anything here yet. Let me refresh here. So we can see that this is enabled now. We can see it said sync status enabled, last sync less than 1 hour, password hash sync enabled. So you can see federation is disabled here, single sign-on enabled, right? So we can see that this is actually turned on. We have this AD Connect health to troubleshoot also, but let's just see if our users, they are ready to join us in the cloud. So we should probably see that one of the card here showing sync also, and we should also see it. So I will just go there and, okay, oh, I think I was not paying attention. It was just one user I should be expecting, right? And that user was Aisha. And you should know why I should be expecting this user, because I only selected the OU where Adigun and Aisha was in. So if we come here and just go here, we'll see. So this is the only user that should probably sync there. And looking at this here, we should have them. We set password. So this would not work, even if there is a sync, it won't have any effect on this user. If I probably say this is already blanked out, if I come here and say blanked out and all of that, I can't do most of this stuff. I have to do them from on-prem because this user is syncing from there. But I can assign this user a license. I can assign license to this user so that this user can use our resources, right, online. So now that we've done that, let me just do this like very quick, and then I should be coming to an end with this. So now I just opened I went to this place. This is the tool I installed, and I clicked on synchronization service. So remember I spoke about the connector space, the metaverse, right? And I spoke about import, synchronization, and export. If you could look at this now, you can see that the import happened for, this is our Active Directory here. This is the import. This is the import for our cloud Active Directory. Sorry, Azure Active Directory. And then this is the synchronization, and then this is the export. So if I just click on this, if I look at the ads, right, I can just click on this and see what was happening here. This is what happened, and this is the user, right? I can see the DC, the OU, others are not showing here because I didn't select them, right? And this is the user, right? So let's just leave this. I would still come here. So once you see full, sometimes you might be seeing what we have called Delta, right? So for full sync will sync everything in your directory. Now, everything in this directory is the OU I selected, right? It will sync everything. But when we're using Delta sync, right? Delta sync just simply means if an attribute is being changed on a user, right? I'm just syncing just that attribute. So now I already have the user Adigun on cloud, right? If I decide to say, oh, let me just give him the address, house address, is job title, I have to do that here. So by the time I do that here and I'm doing a sync, it will just be a Delta sync because it's just those few changes I am syncing to the cloud, not the whole full directory sync. And when we come to the connector space, right, this is the connector space. I can always choose to come here and run my imports, exports, if I want to. So if you look at, I have the full import, I have the Delta import, and I can click on OK. So if I click on OK, what will just happen? It would take it to the connector space. And by the time I click on export, before you know, you'll see it in the metaverse, sorry, which is this. Sorry, if I click on sync, you will see it in the metaverse, and the next thing you will see it in the cloud. So what I just want to rush here and do, let me just see what can I change in this user telephone. So now this is not going to sync, right? Because once you have this agent installed, synchronization takes place every 30 minutes. You can change your synchronization time with a command, right? If you want to, but I don't think you can change it less. That's if you're syncing anything here, its synchronization is taking place in 30 minutes. So what I've just done, I have to wait 30 minutes. But for password, if I reset this user password, the synchronization will take place in 2 minutes. It doesn't have to wait for 30 minutes. But what if it is urgent. I don't want to wait. What can I do? There is a command that I can use. I will just probably show you the command. With that command, right, the sync would be enforced. It will say, okay, this user should sync everything that has to be synced. And that command, you can either choose the full, like I explained, which is initial. You see it as initial, or you use the delta, which is just the attributes or whatsoever you're syncing, not the full sync. So I just changed this user telephone number now, and I'll come here for Aisha. Let's see what we have here for Aisha. If I come to information, telephone number is supposed to be, it should be here, right? I hope so. So I will go back and just, let's see where it comes to. So we'll go to this connector space, and I would say I want to run the Delta import. So I just did that. Now you can see one update, right? So if I click on this update, let's see what's that. It's showing me that the update is on Aisha. So I can click on this Aisha and just go to properties. Now, if you look at the properties now, it is telling me this is Aisha old values and this is the new value. Now look at this telephone. You can see the old value was blank and the new value that we have here is the number I just typed, right? So if I click on close, let me just come. I'm just showing you how this whole stuff is moving, right? So now the import has carried that user, copied the user from the Active Directory to the connector space. Now, if we go to Metaverse, right, search, this is Aisha, and let's just see what we have here in Aisha. So these are the attributes. Can I see telephone? There is no telephone here yet. So we can see the connectors, right? So let me go and click on this and I'll run Delta Sync. So I just clicked on Delta Sync now. So let's see if that user has been moved. The update has been moved to. So you can see the telephone number has moved to the metaverse. So you see the way the engine works. Now, this should not be on cloud yet. I just need to come here and do exports. Now you can run it both way. This is just for the Active Directory connector that I'm running. So, but exports, you don't need to. You can see it's running this. And I can as well do this here. I can just choose to run whatsoever I want to run and it will still give me the same stuff, right? So this basically is just the connector space, what we can do. And we can still go to properties in this connector space, right? So for the properties here, you can see we have different properties. I can go to if I want to use another forest, I can say, oh, don't sync this forest. I can stop it here, right? I can choose to come to containers. With containers, you can see the user I created. I will just try to log into that user now. Let's see what the containers are going to be doing for us here. So for the containers, if I click on OK, you can see I can see those OUs. I can choose to select the containers I want to sync at this point. So if I want to probably add users, I can say, okay, I'm adding users now to the containers that will sync, and I can say OK to that. So I've added the user container. If I run the same stuff I was running now, those users will start syncing. So I've also made an export. And if I click here, if I click here, let me come to the connector space. There is not. Okay, sorry, I don't have anything here. Well, there's something I was trying to do. Okay, let me just click on. There's something else I just want to bring out. Let me just do full import. It should be able. Was that import I did? So it should be able to bring, yeah, so you can see I have 30 ads, but the 6 that were synced before, there's no change that has been made. It just added 30 more objects. So you can see, I should be able to see Emmanuel and the rest of them. Yeah, I can click on properties. Now, when I click on properties, I can go to preview And with preview, I can generate the preview, right? Full synchronization. I can preview what exactly will be synced, right? There's no old value. I didn't change anything. With preview, I can see what would change and all of that. And if I am okay with it, after clicking generate preview, right, I can just commit preview. So with commit preview, I'm accepting it. You can sync the whole stuff. So that's just basically another way you can use to look at what is happening, what is changing, how you're forcing stuff to sync and all of that. And the last thing that I think I'll just give you as an assignment, you can actually filter based on domain, which I just did. You can also filter sync. So for domain, right, if I come here and click on properties and I say I don't want this domain, you can see this my domain. I don't want to sync this domain. I can filter it off, right? That's one of the ways to filter. Then for OUs, right, the same place, I can filter the OU that I don't want. Sorry, if I can filter the OU, if I type in my password here, you can see the OU. I can filter it and say, oh, I don't want this OU. And then we can also filter attributes. So if we're filtering attributes, we use this. So we just create a rule, a synchronization rule editor, we'll create it, and with that, we'll be able to sync a particular user based on an attribute or stop a user from syncing. So if I come to this tool, AD Connect tool, let me close this. So I've just shown you some stuff here. This is the services, but this is the AD Connect itself. If I come to it, I can still open it now. When I open it, I can choose to configure it again. So at this point, if I want to configure it, you can see I can change settings, customize synchronization, view configuration. This should be what I selected. So if I'm not sure about what I selected while setting up this account, I can come here and just confirm what exactly did I choose when I was selecting this. So I can go to previous, come to these options, right? Once I sign in here, I still have the options to change the OU at this point also and still go back to configuration. So there are other stuffs I can come in here and do, and then I can turn on staging mode if I want to on this particular Active Directory. Now, the last thing I will just show you before I start signing in to confirm that those users are okay is if you go to services, .msc. Sorry, I don't know why my caps is on. It looks as if I'm shouting. Yeah. So if you look at this, right, we have this installed. We have this, right? This is coming as a result of we installing the AD tool. And I want to go to, there should be, yes, and then we have this. Now, if you're troubleshooting your AD Connect, you need to check the services because sometimes if you're having issues, they are probably not running. So if these services are stopped, you will have issues. So I'm showing you this just so you understand some of the basic things you should know when you're troubleshooting. So for troubleshooting issues like something is not running, my AD sync, you can just come here and check if these services are running, these accounts that were created also. And if we still come to, yep, yeah, you can see those admin groups I was talking about. They are now out. So those admin groups that were created by default, they are right here. So I would try to sign in with this account I just created. Let me open another incognito mode real quick. So let me type admin, sorry. I'm pulling this browser right now. So this is, so that's the browser. So let's see, sign in. And once we come to sign in, that should be yeah, I know. Let me just turn off this. At ABC of cloud.cloud. And I'll go next and let me type the password I created. So, that password has probably not synced back that I use in creating this user. So there'll be a problem. So let me run a sync again. Let me close this, and now what I would do, I'll just use my tool that I was talking about. Yeah, so I'm going to run the command, right? This command I'll be running, let me get them. So if you want to run this command, normally you should import the module, which, let me open a notepad and just, so these are the commands. So the delta is for just, you're not making a full sync. The initial is making a full sync. So if I want to install this command on normal PowerShell, I should install this module. But if I'm using the Active Directory PowerShell, I think I don't need to. So let me use this because I'm just trying to push everything. Okay, I already selected this. So I'll hit enter here. Okay, I will install the module then. I was thinking this should help me. So let me import it. Instead of stressing myself, let me use the normal PowerShell. I felt this guy is going to help me, but he's not. So let me just run this as admin, and yeah. So while this is running, I can as well just open that, and let me just go to my connectors and please just run this for me. I can as well do this also. Run this for me. Then I'll be back to this guy and I will do full synchronization. Okay, let me paste this. Since I selected the delta already. Okay, so this actually showed me success, right? So if I also want to run the initial, it's just the same thing it will show. So you can see that this command was not recognized. Okay, this is not running because this is actually busy, right? You can see it said this is busy. It's not because there's an error. So if I give it some time and hit it, although I'm not giving it some time, but yeah, you can see it's now going through. So if it's because I just tried to run it immediately after running this, so that's why I was getting that error. So all this thing I'm doing here, these guys, they've done it for me without me coming to be running them directly from here. So let me come here and just look at if Emma is here. Emmanuel should be here. Okay, so this is Emmanuel. Let me just say let me do, oh no, sorry, this is very wrong. So incognito mode for the same browser. So I would use this other browser and just pull this up. So let me just paste. I hope this is the password. What did I use? Let me try. I can reset it. I think I missed the password. So I think I missed the password. Let me just reset the password, and let me reset the user password from here. think that was what I used. Let me just go to where is Emmanuel. Okay, this so I'll just reset this password and yeah, no. Let me be slow about it. Yeah, so I would just hit this over and over. No, not here. Let me hit this. Let me also refresh this guy very well. Why that is happening, let me try to use this password. So I can still just go and check. This is okay. Let me try that now and see. If I try that, let me refresh here and be very sure it has updated here. Password sync. So this is the sync I was talking of. Sync 3 minutes ago. Let me just wait. Sometimes this update is just a bit slow. And if I also come here while I'm waiting, we should be able to see. Yeah, so you can see this directory sync status now. It's now showing here, and you can see the ID fix tool. You can still download it even after installing the agent. And with that, you should also be able to fix any issues that has to do with duplication. So let me try this account again. If this doesn't work, I will just have to use text notepad to copy. Oh, to be frank, I don't know what's happening with this account now. Let me go to users. This user, let me see. It's showing failed signing. This was able to sync back. Let me type this password in notepad and just let me paste the password that I'm using. Notepad. Or what I would do, I can as well just probably join a device and try to log in so I know if it's the tenant that is stressing me with. I will copy this and I will reset this user account again. Let me just in case the user account is, I don't think it is locked, but now I will do this again. If this doesn't work, then I think I will just let me use initial also. I would just set up a domain join computer and see if it's busy. So let's just wait for it. Okay, this, let me see how many minutes is this is showing. So I would give this the number of time that it needs now. Oh, it's still showing me 6 minutes. Oh, okay. I'll give this the number of time it needs. Meanwhile, let me also just flush my DNS. So while that is doing its thing, let me try to be very sure that this account password is right. So I have one workstation here. I would just join, I will join this computer to my server. So once this computer joins to my server, I will try to see how. So for me to do that, I just need to see something. So I'll still try this again. Let me refresh this page. So that's EA. Doesn't matter though. So I would just get a notepad on my system. So I'm sure that the VM is actually okay, just to be very sure that the VM is. So if this doesn't go, then I probably just have to, okay, I think this is now a problem. So, oh, sorry, this is already domain join. So I think this is a problem. So I will just try to connect with this. Let me stop this. So I just want to confirm that that password is actually working. Okay, let me sign into this. While this is loading, let me still be sure that the password is actually moving. So this is 9:44. So yeah, so this is correct. Oh, I think there's no internet in this. I'm using another internet for this guy. So let me see something. Oh, okay. I think the let me just disconnect that machine and connect it back. So I think this should be up. So I'm using a different internet, right? So that's why I'm on this meeting with one and I am on this with another. And I don't know why this is going off now. So this is, so what is simply happening is that everything I'm doing is not actually leaving this on-prem. Everything is just stopping right here. So what I would do, I think I had internet a few minutes ago. What I would do is, let me just see something if this will help me. Okay. Can I just build? Let me just build before I leave. I just want to build a new. Let me just. Oh. So there's a little problem now, just in case I don't know back immediately. Hello, can you hear me? I think I'm back, right? Hello. Hello.
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay. You can see my screen, right? I was just creating a new distance. So I want to switch my internet to this other machine. So let's see. I will shut down this machine and I will just connect it to another internet. So I can just test these guys and yeah, let me I supposed to shut that down. It would not. So let me connect it to this other router. And if it doesn't work now, instead of wasting time, I think we'll just stop here. Then later we'll just, yeah, you can try it. There's nothing serious. If you do the same thing I'm doing, yours should work. If you're using like one network card. So let me log into this machine. And then I would use, okay, I have internet now. Okay, good. So let me just do a full sync and okay. I will just wait for this guy. So this is still showing 7 minutes ago. That means nothing has gotten to M365. Let's just keep. I hope I still have that password should be on Notepad. While this is still doing, let's just try this guy. Let me refresh. Yeah, it will break right now. What am I typing? Yep, that should be. Hmm. Hmm. Let me refresh and see if it is showing. So this is not hitting this place. So the sync is not coming. So if it doesn't hit, if this doesn't change and it gets to 10, right? I think I'll just stop at this place because I think with so there's network there. So if M365 doesn't get it, right? I think the change should have happened. This was 9:44 on this particular machine. So if I close this and still just okay, that's still the same password I changed then. So if we don't get it, I think we'll just have to pause here. But if you try this, it should, I'm very sure it should work, right? But for some reason, M365 is not, M365 is not, or even if it's just a password sync is not coming. So let me see. So what I can do is I can just run this tool again. Let's just one last troubleshooting. I just want to stop this. Okay. So I just want to just do like a small troubleshooting. So I'll click on configure and synchronization. Let me put in this password for this guy real quick. Oh, I just thought of something. Yep, so this might also be my problem. I didn't give this user let me just come here. Let me just make this user. While I'm doing that, let me go next and yes. So let me just run this now, and this should correct anything that is not happening. So if this doesn't work, I just feel we'll have to just try this on our own. I'm like very sure it should come up on our end. Yeah, so let me go to M365 and see if something has changed. Okay, I think the counter just changed. Let me just do office.com. So this is EA at oh, I think we'll just end here today. I think I probably broke that user account that I didn't give admin. But if you do yours, trust me, just do the same thing I'm doing. It should work for you. So for today, right, we'll just stop at this place because I don't want to keep trying to see how this guy work. But trust me, if you do the same thing that we just did now, it should give you like the exact answer to what we supposed to get, right? I can see everything is syncing, right? And the updates for the attributes are changing, but the user password is not syncing. So it's something I would just probably sit down and troubleshoot. Then I'll just tell you what was actually causing the issue. Yeah, for now, if you have any question, you can just ask, right? But trust me, the same process is what you just need to do, and you will get the AD Connect tool working. So yeah, I think we've spent like 2 hours, and I don't want to just keep trying to fix the password. So if you have any question, you can just ask now before we end the session for today. Okay, somebody said, how does one currently connect from Azure AD?
Thank you.
So if you want to connect to Azure AD, right, with PowerShell, you just need to install the module for Azure AD, right? And when you install the module for Azure AD, you can now use connect AZ dots. I think it's az.connect, right? Once you use that, you should be able to connect to your Azure Active Directory, and with that you can do all the commands that you want to do. So if you go to Microsoft Documents, if you probably check how to connect to Azure AD, right, you will see the modules that you need to install. So you just need to go through those modules, and once you go through those modules, you're very good to using PowerShell on your Azure Active Directory if you want to use PowerShell on it. Okay, so let me just, okay, hold on, let me just, okay, you want to say something? I wanted to show you something.
Yeah, proceed.
Okay, I just want to bring this for you. So if you look at this documentation right here, you will see how to connect to your Azure AD, right? And you can see this top here, there's module. So if I open this, right, it's just going to show me everything I need to install. So let me look for, I'm trying to look for the, oh, okay, this is AD. So they're always in Microsoft documentation. Wait, let me just search for Azure AD module install. So this is the module, right? So if you just copy this, once you copy it, just paste it on PowerShell and hit enter. So once you hit enter, right, you can now start using any command, like probably create users and all of that. So if you see when I was trying to run the initial, it did not work because PowerShell does not understand that initial. And the only way PowerShell can understand that initial, I need to use the module for the sync, right? That's the AD sync module. So once I install the AD sync module, it will start understanding that particular command. So if you want to use even M365, if you want to connect to your MSOL to create users, you need to install the MSOL module also. Once you install MSOL online, then you can now start connecting to MSOL services. But if you don't install that, you can't use PowerShell to connect to it. So you probably have errors if you just go and read the document and they say connect to Active Directory, connect to M365. If you hit the PowerShell command for the connect, it won't work. So you just need to install the modules, and once you're done installing the modules, then you can now go ahead with running the commands.
All right. Yeah. Thank you very much, Solomon, for today's session. Um, guys, Solomon did a
Someone was
very
talking about hard match. Sorry, Emmanuel, that hard match is going to take like another time, right? Like we'll spend more time. So it's not a journey that we want to go into now, right? Yeah, but it's just trying to match the identities, right? So, and for it to, since the connect is already having issues, right? I might have another issue if I'm trying to do a sample, because I think I made a mistake in something that is actually stopping the password. So, yeah. So Joshua, you can continue.
All right. Okay, I think we have more questions. So before I take we take the next questions, right? Guys, let's appreciate Solomon for today's session. He really did well, and I just want to let you know that this is the kind of things you guys would meet while carrying out synchronization, directory synchronizations, and then these are the things you would see. These are the things you would face. Maybe an issue with a password, maybe it's an issue with maybe like someone asked hard match or soft match like that, or some other attributes. Yeah. So thank you, Solomon. So we have some other questions here. Um,
Were they at the
okay.
top?
Okay, I think you already answered. Um, I think you already answered it from hard match.
Okay.
Yeah, how is the module installation done? I think you answered that already. So does installing AAD module also straight up work for the M365 AAD module? I think what this person is asking is installing AAD module, right? PowerShell, is it same thing as installing the Microsoft 365 AAD2? Solomon.
Okay. He said, so if you need both, so the way
Yeah.
it works, right? Let me just explain it for you, right? If you're going to do anything that you probably would do in the admin center for M365, right? It's different from you going to do anything that is specifically for Exchange Online. And if you're also trying to do anything that is specific for Azure itself, right? They would not work. So sometimes you might probably create a user using the MSO, right, on the M365 admin center. But once you create a user in M365 admin center, right, you know that definitely that user would go to the Active Directory. But if probably you want to add user to a particular group that you can see in your M365 admin center, and you're depending on the module you installed for M365, right? If you try to add that user, the user would not be added to that group, because at this point now you're depending on Exchange. You have to also connect to Exchange to be able to do that particular to be able to run that particular command. So for me, what I always do is I install all the modules that I need for M365 Azure itself, because I run Azure, right? I install for Azure, and I also install for the AD. So why I'm doing that is, if at all, at any point, I want to run command in Exchange, I should not have issues. Even Teams, if you want to manipulate users on Teams, right? You want to play with voice routing, enable enterprise voice on a user. The fact that you're connected to M365 admin doesn't mean that the commandlet will work. So you have to install the modules for Teams. So the best way to handling this, don't just go to M365 and say, okay, I've installed the module for this, so I can do this. So just install the modules for each of them, so that when you want to run the command, probably you might just need to sign in to connect. So remember, there's also connect. So if you have the modules installed for all of them, and Teams is not working for you because you're probably connected to M365 admin, right? MSO. You can just go and get the command for connect Teams command to connect to Teams, and you do what you need to do. You don't need to think about the modules. So just try to install all the modules you need, and yeah, you won't be thinking of, will this one work here or it will not work here, because you will have issues with modules. And it's not even just focused on the logging in. There are some other commands you probably need to do. You just need to run a module for those commands to work. So just put that in mind and get your module, install them, and then perform your action. So that's like the basic way to answer that question. So I don't know if that answers your question, Ari.
Yeah, we have another question quickly.
Okay.
It's the last one. So if one needs both, one has to install the Azure AD module and then the MSO. So this person is asking about the installation of the MSO module in PowerShell and then the AAD module in PowerShell.
Yeah, I saw that, so I answered it. That's why I told him he needs to install the different modules, right? If probably you're going to use the Exchange, remember the module. If you're probably going to be using the Teams also, remember the module. Don't just sit with one module, right? Because we have different ways you can perform actions. So even if you're seeing, like I said earlier, if you're seeing group under admin center, right, and you feel, oh, the MSO module is helping me create accounts in the admin center, right? Once you say, oh, let me add a user to a particular group, you will have issues, right? It will tell you connect to Exchange. So I think that's link group links when you're adding users to group. That's link members and all of that. It will prompt you to use the Exchange. It will prompt you to connect to Exchange, which is another layer to interact with the admin center. Yeah, so I think that's the best way I can explain that.
Okay, thank you very much, Solomon. So yeah, so another thing I usually do is I use the ISC PowerShell, right? And I have different what do they call it now? Different pages or different commandlets for each of the technology. So if I don't want to install the entire I don't want to install the entire module for the entire technology. What I do is I have for each technology, for Teams, for SharePoint, for Exchange Online, for security and compliance, for AAD and the like. So you can do that as well and then have them saved somewhere and just go run them at any time you want. Or you can just install the entire module or the entire M365 and Azure. So thank you very much, Solomon. Do we have any other question? Right? Does anyone have any other question? I know this session was longer than usual, but it's worth it. Everything we saw today, everything we taught today, guys, it's worth it. It's you have gold. Like you already have gold. You're not. You should be aware of, right? With all the knowledge you have here, you can go and start practicing and then applying for some of these rules. Okay, without I don't think there's any other question. So guys, thank you for your time today. Thank you very much, Solomon, for this wonderful and awesome session. You really took us through the basics, the rudiments, the and then we saw how to go about troubleshooting at least. So thank you so much for this, guys. It's been a wonderful session with you guys. Thank you very much. Thank you, Aisha. Yeah, Solomon make us today. Aisha Adigun. Thank you, Emmanuel. Thank you, Samuel, Ariel, Eshovo, Joseph.